Time travel is complicated. Doctor Strange teased at the potential of these issues in his solo movie, but the big old can of time-traveling worms was just opened up in a huge way thanks to Endgame. While the linear focus was on the journey of our Avengers and ultimately defeating Thanos, we can't help but think about the splintered timeline that was created in the Marvel Universe. Along with Loki's new timeline and Steve Rogers hopping aboard his own personal timeline, there's one more we can't stop thinking about: the 2014 timeline that Thanos, Nebula, and Gamora all abandoned to travel to 2023. Their actions inadvertently created a whole new timeline with some pretty dire consequences for the whole universe. Let's dive in and see exactly how. You would think a timeline without Thanos existing would be a safer place. Well, maybe for Earth initially, but for the rest of the universe, not so much. In Avengers Endgame, when the 2014 version of Thanos travels through time and doesn't return, he creates an alternate timeline where himself, Gamora, and Nebula no longer exist. This splintered timeline is full of possibilities, but also has some dire consequences, including a threat that even the Avengers wouldn't be able to stop. In this period, which we'll refer to as Earth 2014, just for the heck of it, the whole universe would be destroyed all thanks to Ego. When things are broken down and analyzed, Ego's plan was even worse. Being your own planet wasn't enough for the Celestial. He wanted it all, and if his plan came true, it would have led Ego's seedlings to grow on every single planet, wipe out all life, and allow Ego to live out his future all alone, presumably for eternity. Thanks to the Guardians of the Galaxy and some sidekicks like Nebula and Yondu, Ego's plan was stopped, the whole planet blew up, and Peter Quill became a mortal human, no longer having the ability to use his father's powers. The end? Not quite. In this new timeline, Earth 2014, we're looking at a very different outcome, where Ego gets away with his plan, and even worse, the Guardians of the Galaxy don't even exist. Gamora left before she even met Peter, Drax, Groot, or Rocket. And because Gamora is gone, Drax has no reason to meet up with Rocket or Peter while in jail, and the group of five may not even be in jail anyway because of some more Endgame actions. During Endgame, we saw the 2023 Nebula and War Machine travel back to the events of the first Guardians of the Galaxy, where they visit Morag and knock Peter unconscious. This journey is what creates the alternate timeline we're referring to as Earth 2014. It's here where War Machine punches out Star-Lord and Nebula's Wi-Fi connection messes with the Nebula of 2014. These actions get Thanos tipped off and allow the Mad Titan to witness his own beheading in the future. And once the 2014 Nebula captures the 2023 version, things get a little crazy, more time travel occurs, and the universe with Earth 2014 is left without 3 residents. At the end of the movie, Steve Rogers heads back to the planet Morag to return the Power Stone, but this change will still not prevent the alternate timeline from existing. Too little, too late. This is where a major change comes into play. After Captain America returns the orb with the Power Stone in it, there are multiple options which could occur. Star-Lord may not get his hands on the orb at all. He may wake up and find the planet empty of other life and the orb completely gone. Endgame doesn't give us any clue how long Star-Lord is actually knocked out for. Let's follow this possible timeline scenario for a minute. So Ronan easily has his hands on the orb and the Power Stone. Even with Thanos' leadership, he had a separate goal: blowing up the planet Xandar. Without the Guardians of the Galaxy forming, there is no confrontation with Xandar, no dance-off, and the whole planet is blown to bits, likely taking out Rocket and Groot in the process. The big confrontation with Ronan was also one of the big catalysts which helped Ego find Quill in the first place. Thanks to his celestial powers, Quill was able to hold the Power Stone and survive. So is Ego still able to find Quill and use him as the second celestial battery to activate the seedlings and terraform every single planet? At some point, yes. Without obtaining the orb, Quill probably joined forces with Yondu again, traveling around the galaxy. There would be a point where Ego uses someone other than Yondu to retrieve Peter. If this is the case, then Ego's plan would go off without a hitch. Maybe not in 2014 like the events of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, but at some point in the future. So once Quill is brought to Ego, he will either be with Yondu or the other Ravagers, or completely alone. The reason Quill doesn't fully go along with his father's plan is because Nebula and Gamora discovered his secret crypt of skeleton children in a cavern beneath the planet. On Earth 2014, Gamora is not there to be his moral compass, to show him what family really means, and to foster a connection he didn't have since his own mother died. So yeah, it's pretty safe to say that Peter Quill would blindly follow his newfound father, hook himself up to be a battery, and allow allow Ego to take over the whole universe, killing everyone in the process. So in some type of alternate timeline, a threat even greater than Thanos will come into existence. The quick rise of the seedlings and terraforming will be too much to stop, and even with Quill on his father's side, other elements won't be able to help either. For example, Rocket and Groot won't be on Ego's planet to implant a bomb and then have a chance of blowing him up. Somehow, no one else in the universe knows about the all-power the planet has, and it will be too little, too late to do anything when the time comes. Even if Mantis has the chance to come around and try to help, just her alone would not be enough to stop Peter and his father. Of course, this isn't the only possible outcome of the situation. Peter Quill could have woken up, either on his own shortly after, or even through some help from Captain America recognizing the hero after he helped him out in the final battle with Thanos. So Quill awakens and is able to obtain the orb, or follows Korath and gets the orb at some point later. Either way, Yondu still gets a bounty on Quill, enabling Groot and Rocket to get into the game. Star-Lord, being his typical self, will still likely journey to Xandar in an attempt to sell the orb and rake in the cash. We doubt Rocket, Groot, and Quill would team up. Don't get us wrong, Rocket would definitely try to find a way to escape jail, but probably without Peter. From there, Quill would pretty much live out his sentence until it ended, or Ego found out about him and helped him escape. Being locked up in a prison with his name and file in a digital database could give Ego some easy clues as to where Yondu has been hiding him. We imagine the jail has some sort of fingerprint or DNA log that Ego can find a way to tap into as well. So in this scenario, Ego once again reunites with his son, who could be even more grateful for getting him out of prison. The end result is the same. Ego finds his second battery, activates all the seedlings, and the universe as we know it is kaput. But wait, we could get even darker as well. What if Star-Lord dies before Ego even gets to meet him? There are so many ways this could have happened. He could have died right there on Morag. Who's to say the punch from War Machine didn't do Star-Lord in for good? He didn't have his protective helmet on. A little brain bleeding could have ended him right there. Korath could have shown up, seen Quill's unconscious body, and then just finished the job to prevent anyone else from getting the orb. Or maybe Rocket Raccoon and Groot took their bounty hunting a little too far and killed off Star-Lord to get the bomb. There's a possibility that he's on Xandar after Ronan gets the Power Stone and blows the whole planet up. So now, with Gamora and her dysfunctional family gone to 2023, Star-Lord has perished and Ego is left without his son. But no worries on his part. Eventually, he will find another child to test out his experiment on. It could be someone he already gave birth to, or someone in the distant future as he attempts his plan again. Either way, there's no time limit for Ego, at least not one where he will have hundreds of years to keep trying. Virtually, no one in the universe knows about his little seedling threat, and just one connection could help him execute a plan very similar to M. Night Shyamalan's The Happening. The plants are the enemies. While Peter was a match, Ego may rely on another child to execute the plan, and this can all occur because Thanos said bye-bye to 2014. So in another scenario, Ego wins. What if every Guardian of the Galaxy still manages to come together and find Ego and confront him? No Gamora. Sorry, Ego wins again. What if 2014 Gamora goes back in time, repositions herself, and recreates the same scenario we saw in Guardians of the Galaxy? While that sounds nice, it would just create another alternative timeline, so once again, Ego wins. The basic truth is that there is a single timeline out there where just Ego is living out his life as the only being left in the universe. Well, maybe he left Mantis around for some company. Hey, way to go, Mantis! So back on Earth, the Avengers are breathing a sigh of relief. Thanos is gone, Iron Man lives, Black Widow lives, along with countless others. But their hope and happiness only lasts so long. When the seedlings hatch, the Earth will be consumed and there won't be much the Avengers can do, especially because their roster is a lot smaller back in 2014. The only way for anyone to survive is if they are actually traveling through space and not positioned on a planet. We are looking at you, Captain Marvel. She would have to be flying through space at the time of Ego's takeover and ensure she doesn't get caught up in the mass hysteria. Even then, she would literally have to battle every single planet in the universe to put a stop to Ego. And we just don't see that happening. Ego will find a way to destroy Captain Marvel. So, will we ever get to see the Earth 2014 play out on the big screen or on Disney+? Most likely, no. But it's still really fun to think about. And to think, this is just one of several alternate timelines and universes created through the time-traveling adventures of our favorite Avengers. Who knows what other timelines are out there, especially with Loki on the loose? Phase 4 will most likely focus on the Earth we've known from the MCU. But if you were secretly rooting for Ego in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, then you can be happy to know your wish came true. Wow, so many possibilities! How do you think this timeline would play out? Would Ego get away with it and take over the universe? Let us know in the comments below. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to ScreenRant for more great content. Thanks for watching.